Tell Me About It is brought to you by Don Franklin Auto of Glasgow, Extreme Health Club, and Lockshield Partners Accounting Services.
Hi, this is James Brown back here on Tell Me About It. I took a week off and let Trevent hang out with a bunch of people who were new coaches at Caverna. But here I am today on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. You can also catch the show on the Glasgow EPB YouTube channel, the 104thescore.com, and kysports.tv. And today we have Chris Jennings with us. He's in his, I guess you're getting close to wrapping up your first 8-9 months of being the Barren County, what do they call you?
So I'm the Parks and Rec director.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you're wrapping up your first spring season, which is usually a big thing for the Barren County Parks and Rec, because you guys have so many teams and stuff that play spring sports out at Jackie Browning Park.
Yep.
And this year was a little different because the Glasgow Athletics program, youth program, for the spring sports consolidated with you guys. So you guys were also using the Beaver Creek Park.
Correct.
For some games over there. So before we get into the postseason stuff that I want to ask you about, because that's where we're at right now in the month of June, about how many kids did you guys wind up with with the two leagues consolidated and with the two locations?
Yeah. So we end up having roughly around 860 kids this year in our spring league, baseball and softball. And that was for our divisions 12 and under, which we started 5 and 6 for our T-ball and coach pitch. Mm-hmm. And then we ended up this year with 111 kids for our 13-15 Babe Ruth Baseball League.
Okay.
And so that was the first year that we've brought it back since COVID. And so those numbers are good. I'm glad, that program's back up and running again, and hopefully that only continues to grow as well.
Well, and you mentioned that 13 and up, basically, baseball, that Babe Ruth level. Even before COVID, it was struggling to put together more than a couple of teams, I think, for the last probably 10 or 11 years.
Yeah. The travel baseball has really killed both the baseball and the softball side once you get past the age 12. And we've had some interest, too, from on the softball side from 14, 15, 16. The problem you run into is just right now the numbers are not there. Mm-hmm. And you do good to field two teams. Everyone gets tired of playing one another throughout the season. So we're trying to promote, this older age group, trying to get that program back on track. The district, which we're in District 6 with Babe Ruth, and the numbers are getting better all across the district. I know Allen County's got a few teams this year. Hart County's got a team. Edmondson is trying to get a team together, and Greene County's got one team this year. So that's good as far as district-wide and getting this age group up and going again.
Well, and used to, what would kind of happen is you may have a couple of Glasgow/Barren County teams. So it would be kids from both school districts and Caverna.
Yep.
And then, like you were just mentioning, some of the other counties would have teams, and they'd kind of play a round robin between each other. I know that went on probably when I first got here, and for a few years after that. A lot of times they'd play over there at Richardson Stadium back in those days. And so, but even those, as you mentioned, they kind of dropped off, I guess, as people were maybe doing a little more of the American Legion ball. I think there was a couple of organizations doing that. And then maybe some of the high schools were putting together teams that were basically travel teams, but It was like a Barren County-centric high school team or a Hart County-centric team in what would basically be like a upcoming freshman kind of group, I suppose.
Yeah.
So what were the logistics? Because that's probably about a third more, or maybe a little higher than that, more than traditionally you guys had dealt with out there?
Yeah, our numbers were up a little bit this year compared to past. It wasn't a significant difference. The last 2 years, the GAP's numbers was somewhere between 95 and 100, and they offered coach pitch and T-ball. But again, those kids were already playing over in the county league, so It was definitely a chore this year. Luckily, Glasgow Parks and Recs, and as we sat down, we worked well together this year. Eddie and his staff did a phenomenal job in welcoming us in, and anything that we need to help in, they were there to help. But scheduling was very, very difficult this year. I have no lies to tell about that. 65 teams when you only have 8 fields.
Yeah.
It's
Well, people want to practice too.
Yeah,
so
practice.
You gotta work that out.
So the good thing there, we were able to utilize, not only just Beaver Creek Park, Jackie Browning Park, but we used Gorin Park as well, American Legion Park, Weldon Park, and at times that still wasn't enough. That's just how big this league is, and so we were able to get through the spring season. We definitely had some growing pains this year, as expected, but we did learn a lot this spring on what we can do to improve moving forward, and I think it's only up, going from here.
Now I know there was a little bit of some gnashing of some teeth when people learned about the consolidation, but I didn't hear any complaints from anyone. It sounded like everybody, once everything kind of got going, everybody was good with how things were working.
Yeah, overall, I think it was honestly a great experience. Anytime there's change, and I'm one of these too. When change, I don't do good with change either. But I think once we got in there and they saw that, hey, this is a good thing. The city, the county is working together. It's not a Glasgow versus Barren thing anymore. It was one league. We had a bunch of parents that normally coached with the Gap that was coaching over here, so there was a lot of familiar faces. It just wasn't one-sided, lopsided, and that just goes to show you too. I mean, all of our coaches are volunteers. If you've never coached youth sports, you have not a clue what these men and women sacrificed to coach year in, year out. And so retaining coaches and finding coaches is getting harder and harder, just like umpires and officials. So.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned you had the T-ball and up. So I imagine, traditionally speaking, that youngest league has the most teams in it. Was that
true.
the case this year as well?
Yeah, that was our biggest league, and that, like I said, generally that is our biggest league. We had 15 teams this year in our T-ball league, and we probably could have had more than that, to be honest with you. We just couldn't field enough coaches. We had, some teams, 14, 15 kids on a roster, and that was just due to we couldn't, get any more coaches. So.
No, is that at that youngest level? That's a co-ed, right? It's
co-ed, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When does it split off into where you have softball league and baseball league?
So at the age of 8.
Okay.
So the girls, they go to a sling pitch machine, and then we offer a 7-8 coach pitch for the boys, and then we offer a 7-8 sling pitch for the boys as well.
Okay. So is that sling pitch and coach pitch 2 separate leagues? Or?
2 separate leagues.
Okay,
correct.
so you can pick whichever one you decide you're most interested in
Correct.
doing.
Yeah. We have 9 leagues within our league.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a bunch.
Yeah, a bunch. Yeah.
Which also probably makes the scheduling thing a little more challenging too. We're trying to figure out who's going to be where.
Very, very challenging. That's what they tend to forget. It's not just your league playing. There's 8 other leagues that are going on, and so we scheduled anywhere between 10 to 12 games this year. So we were almost 800 games just regular season between the 2 locations, and so very, very challenging. And so.
Let's talk a little bit, because as I mentioned, you guys are entering that postseason area where they call them all-star teams or whatever they call them. I don't know how the selection process is these days, where they try out for the teams. That used to be something they do, or you may have 2 teams, I guess, in a division, in an age division, both softball and baseball. I don't know if that's how that worked out. But at what age group do they start doing that, putting together those postseason teams? Yeah,
so ages started at the age 8, both on the softball and on the baseball side. And in years past, they've offered a tryout. This year, we've changed it up. Babe Ruth, our local Babe Ruth, kind of got a late start this year. There's a lot of areas that they're having trouble with someone that was wanting to host district sites, state sites, regional sites, and so there was kind of a late start this year. And then so we selected our all-star coaches, and we left it up to the coaches, because at the end of the day, that's who's going to be selecting the team. If they wanted to have a tryout, then we gave them that opportunity to have a tryout. If they didn't want to have a tryout, then they didn't have to have a tryout. It's not required through Babe Ruth. We are the only league that was basically offering a tryout for all-stars. Some like a tryout, some don't. It's I feel like All-Stars is just the body of work that a player has done throughout the season. You can go have a tryout, not have a good tryout. I just don't think that a bad tryout should dictate whether if you're, make the All-Star team or not make the All-Star team.
Well, I think sometimes people don't realize some kids aren't interested in doing it.
Correct.
They may have been a better player in the league that season, but they and their family got something else to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
for the next 3 weeks.
That's one of the biggest difficulties that we run into towards the end of the year. We finish regular season, we get into our postseason, then our All-Star play is that, there's vacation Bible schools. There's a lot of family that are wanting to take, their family vacations, or they're done with ball. And so you see a lot of number of kids, but when you start, telling people these dates, these numbers start really, really falling off.
So, are you guys hosting any of these tournaments this year?
So this year we're not hosting on the softball or the softball side. We were asked to possibly host the 12U state for the boys on the boys side, which was originally supposed to be hosted in Louisville. And they end up finding a host site for the 12U boys this year.
Okay. So is it still like a district and then state that they do tournaments?
So there is. Of course, it's a separation. There's a softball side of it and there's a baseball side of it. And so this year, in years past, there hasn't been a district tournament in District 6 for as many years as I can remember. You go straight to state, which is normally played in Louisville, either at Fern Creek or Germantown. Fern Creek has it this year. And over the winter, before I took the position, it was voted on amongst league presidents that they were going to do away with the state tournaments this year, that they was just going to host the regional tournament this year. Normally the state and regional tournaments are played back-to-back weekends. A lot of travel, a lot of expense, so they were trying to cut down on some of the travel and some of the expense and hopefully get a bigger number of turnouts of participations in each league. Now on the baseball side, generally there's a district tournament in each age group. The numbers are there for that. And so, of course, this year the 10s district, they're playing in Allen County, the 12s is in Warren County, and then state is in Owensboro for the majority of them. We got an 8-year-old team this year. They don't have district, but they do have state this year.
When are those district tournaments for the 10s and the 12s on baseball side?
So on the baseball side, actually the 10s start this weekend.
Okay.
This weekend, and then the 12s is the following weekend. I can't remember what date that is, but it's the last weekend of June is when our 12s play.
Okay. And that softball regional, when will that be?
So the regional tournament starts June 29th through July the 2nd.
And that's going to be in Louisville?
Louisville, Barren Creek.
And I guess the last one is the 12U baseball. They don't have a district? They
have a district. It's in Warren County. It's the last week
that's right.
of this month. And then they'll go on to play state as well.
It's the 8 and under that doesn't have a district. They're going straight to state. When and where will that be?
July 5th through the 9th is their state tournament, and it's in Owensboro.
Okay. Is it going to be a coach pitch or a sling pitch?
Sling.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is this first year they've done it as a sling?
No, we took a team last year that sling. It's divided. Babe Ruth is divided east and west. We're in the Western Division, and they recognize sling pitch, and so that's the reason that we offer sling pitch in our league.
Gotcha.
And then so on the east side, they do coach pitch.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, and I'm learning a lot through that too. There's a lot of things that are offered that necessarily don't always fall underneath the Western Division of Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's never as simple as people think it should be.
Never.
All right, well, we're going to come back with you here in a little bit and talk about the future of Jackie Browning Park. There was some news from earlier in the week. I think Melinda Overstreet at Glasgow News 1 wrote about it. So we'll ask you some more about that. All right, this is James Brown. I'm with Chris Jennings, and we are here on Tell Me About It on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel.
Lockshield Partners Accounting Services provides professional and trusted expertise to our clients. Our team offers individual, business, and nonprofit tax preparation services, as well as payroll, bookkeeping, and consulting year-round. Call or visit our office today so our team can work for you while you and your loved ones focus on what really matters, because together we plan.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
At Don Franklin, we're more than a group of car dealerships. We're hardworking, everyday people of Kentucky. We strive daily to give 110% to our customers, our employees, and our families. We are committed to providing everyone with a safe and reliable vehicle, and we continue our tradition of supporting our local communities. At all 24 dealerships across Kentucky, we will treat you like family. Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, we are Kentucky.
Hi, it's James Brown back here on Tell Me About It. I'm here with Chris Jennings, Glasgow EPB Channel 6, local channel, Barren County Parks and Recreation Director. Did I get it right that time?
That's right.
All right, thank you. We mentioned before we went to the break that there was some news on Monday. You guys, I guess it's a Parks and Recreation Committee for the county had a meeting, and you guys kind of laid out some plans in phases of what you want to do at Jackie Browning Park. And as I was reading through the story that Melinda wrote, it sounds like some of the changes are pretty significant in terms of where the fields are, field alignments, parking lot, access to the park, just a lot of things that as things grow, you guys are going to have to make these changes. I'm sure also, I mean, I had this discussion a couple of years ago. I think it was when Judge Executive Michael Hill was there about they would like to find some way to buy some property or get some property to expand the park because of the growing nature of the park at that time. That wasn't in the story, so I don't know where you guys are on that kind of stuff. But I imagine you would love to be able to grow the park physically as well.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about the things that you guys have on the table that you want to do, the phases of trying to accomplish these things. Because I guess some of this will be dependent on probably getting grant money, access to money that usually comes from the Fed or the state related to recreation and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so right now, basically, of course, I think everyone who's been involved with the park over the last several years or involved with the park now knows that we've outgrown Jackie Browning Park. Our numbers continue to keep growing, and that's a good thing. And so when the park was originally built, it wasn't built for these type of numbers. And so to answer your question, the first one is that, yeah, we would love to be able to purchase, some adjacent property there next to the park. And that's been discussed, the last several years. So right now, just dealing with the property that we have, we're trying to get creative and come up with a master plan, not only on design, but how are we going to fund it? How are we going to pay for it? And the three biggest things that we're going through this punch list is what are our needs, what are our wants, and starting off is one, we need more fields. That's very obvious. Two,
see the prior segment of the show about that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then our second thing is that our restroom facilities. We have one set of restroom facilities, 3 stalls, nowhere near enough. You got 800 kids, times 2 that with parents. So restrooms, and then parking, 3 would be our biggest thing. It's just we've outgrown. There's no traffic control in our current parking lot. It's not lit. It can become
and the
safety.
access to the park is a bit of an issue too.
It is.
Through the years, just because it's on that rise, but on the hill there. But each side it slopes off, and every time I come through there, especially during the spring or during the fall when football's going on, and a lot of people going to work out at the industries, or you got the soccer complex on one end, and then you got Main Street on the other end, and a lot of traffic on that road just anyway, I would imagine.
Yeah, the fall time, it's really, really congested. That's when you see it at its worst, especially because you have football, you have soccer, we have baseball and softball going on, and around that 5:15, it is a traffic jam getting in there to the park. And then the last thing, too, is that, we need a playground facility there at the park. Our kids, our younger brothers and sisters that come to the park to watch their brother and sister play, they have nothing to do. They have to entertain themselves, and there's not a whole lot of there to entertain themselves with except basically throwing rocks, like I always say. So we were able to access a grant with our playground equipment So we got that approved Monday at our meeting to move forward with a playground. It's a 50-50 grant. We pay half. And so excited about that. That's something that has been needed for many, many years there at the park, and I'm glad that truly is going to happen. And then, of course, just the reconstruction. We're going to be eliminating one of our fields, but we're going to get 2 fields out of that field. And one of the biggest complaints of that field right now is that home plate. The sun's right in the hitter's eyes, both during the spring, summer, and fall. So that will be nice to eliminate that complaint. And then, like I said, get 2 fields out of that one.
What, the playground equipment you guys are going to get to move forward on, and I guess you're going to get to move forward on the readjustment of that field. I think it's going to be 2 T-ball fields. Right now it's just kind of a general use field.
Yeah, so right now it's set up, it was originally built for like the middle school at 13-15 baseball league. It's 317 down the lines, 320 center. And then so we're going to turn it into 2 150-foot fields, which will help with our T-ball, our 5-6 coach pitch, 7-8 coach pitch, our U-sling. So we'll be able to get 4 or 5 leagues being able to play on those 2 fields there.
So what, after those 2 things, like what is the thing that you think is the most immediate need that you guys need to try to figure out and accomplish, I guess, in the next phase of trying to find funding for?
Yeah, it would be obtaining, if we can find, any property available adjacent there to the park. And then it would be our restrooms and concessions would be the two next things there that we'd want to do. And we wanted to, we'd like to get our park in a condition that we could attract tournament directors on a regional scale, that our facilities, match what they're looking for to host tournaments, which will not only, bring teams in here, but it would help, with the tourism, and it would help just, growing and helping boost the economy here locally as well.
When you say get your fields in that condition, I mean, what is it that you need? Is there not enough parking for you guys to have a tournament director come in and bring in a tournament, or?
Yeah, parking, restrooms, fields, field conditions.
So the whole ball of wax.
Yeah, A through Z.
Okay.
A through Z, they look at everything. And so we would just like to get our name out there and get our parks and facilities, in the running for some of these bigger tournaments.
Before we get out of this segment, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that are not necessarily about Jackie Browning or the summer leagues. All right. The first one is, what's the most important lesson you've learned since you've become the director?
Delegate.
Delegate. Because you kind of, you whelped out. Were you an assistant director before there, or?
I was an umpire. I sat on a few boards throughout the years, and coached, and then I've also been a parent too out there. So I feel like I've sat and walked in every shoe out there possible. Mm-hmm.
But when you become that director, then you can't actually put your hand in every piece of pie, can you?
No way possible. No way possible. And very, very thankful for my staff, for my assistants, for our seasonal workers. I'm telling you, it's literally a team effort here at the park. Literally.
All right. Well, Chris, thank you for coming in and talking to us again.
James.
I'll get with you too, because I want to find out some more after we're done here about the teams and where they're playing and who's doing what, that kind of jazz.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. This is Tell Me About It on Glasgow EPB Channel 6, local channel. We'll be right back.
At Don Franklin, we're more than a group of car dealerships. We're hardworking, everyday people of Kentucky. We strive daily to give 110% to our customers, our employees, and our families. We are committed to providing everyone with a safe and reliable vehicle, and we continue our tradition of supporting our local communities. At all 24 dealerships across Kentucky, we will treat you like family. Don Franklin Family of Dealerships, we are Kentucky.
Extreme Fitness has doubled in size, now with over 8,000 square feet of co-ed weights and an upgraded 90-degree saline therapy pool. The Extreme Fitness campus also holds the exclusive Extreme Fitness for Women complex and Extreme Blend smoothie bar. You have to experience the variety of classes to realize the impact they have on their clients. Personal training is with the best in the business and is available and tailored to fit individuals. So start your journey today at Extreme Fitness and Health Club.
Lockshield Partners Accounting Services provides professional and trusted expertise to our clients. Our team offers individual, business, and nonprofit tax preparation services, as well as payroll, bookkeeping, and consulting year-round. Call or visit our office today so our team can work for you while you and your loved ones focus on what really matters, because together we plan.
Welcome back to Tell Me About It. I'm James Brown. This is Glasgow EPB Channel 6, the local channel. You can catch this show each week at 6 p.m. there. You can also catch it anytime on the Glasgow EPB YouTube channel and on 104thescore.com and on kysports.tv. I'm back here this week. We've had Chris Jennings with us. I want to thank him for coming in. It was actually kind of short notice to talk to us about his experience and what went on with the spring sports and what's going on with postseason. You know, the dead period for the KHSAA sanctioned sports begins on, I guess it's Saturday. For 2 weeks, the high school coaches, high school players, and all get to go on vacation. And then they come back and the whole world starts again. We've been wrapping up here with some summer basketball. I've covered some games over both boys and girls. Seen Barren County has hosted a couple of days of games. They had one on Tuesday that I went to. The Trojans were playing there. Glasgow Scotties were playing there. Caverna Colonels were playing there. So, you know, summer ball is just kind of an opportunity for the coaches to stay in touch with their players. If you got some young players coming into the program, coming up from middle school or JV, that kind of thing, to kind of get them integrated into your system, what, you know, offenses you're going to run, defenses you want to run, get them used to the kind of culture you have at the program or you're trying to develop at the program. A lot of people put the scores out there and, you know, talk about different things as if it's meaningful, and when it's really not. I mean, for example, I think last week, was it last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever Caverna was playing over at WKU, Kenyon and Tyson Martin weren't playing. Obviously, that's two starters that are going to be playing there. They were playing Monday over at Barren County. Tate Spillman's been out the whole summer, so he's not played yet, or at least he hasn't played in any of the games I've been to. So they've been working in some young guys there too. You know, some people have been at some of the games, I'm guessing, to play, and some people have not. They've been on vacation or they've had other commitments. You also have some players who may play basketball when the season rolls back around, but right now they're some other sport conditioning and that kind of thing. You know, we don't know whether or not they'll play. So, you know, you can't really judge a whole lot on the summer basketball. John Butler and I on the Brown Sports Bag often talk about the fact that really what you're kind of doing is, like I said, getting the players integrated into the culture of the program, especially if they're either new to the school, new to the program, coming up from the JV or middle school. Maybe if you're trying to put in some new stuff because you've got some players coming up you think are going to, you know, fit a different kind of system, you want to do that and work on that as much as possible. The one thing I always look at is, you know, what have the players done since the end of the season, the high school season, to work on their game? Have they been working on their jump shot, their ball handling, boxing out, defending, working on their strength and conditioning? Those are the things I kind of look at during the summer basketball to see how they're developing as players. Sometimes people grow, you know, they may have grown since the end of the season, gotten bigger and that kind of thing. And so that's always kind of a thing you're looking at. But it's kind of an opportunity to just watch some basketball. Sometimes it's good basketball, sometimes it ain't so good. But there have been, things have gone pretty well overall from what I've seen. But, you know, the other thing really going on right now is the summer golf tours, and that's not a dead period for that. So those folks will be playing through that dead period. And when we come back about 3 weeks from now, the 2023-24 high school sports seasons will begin. We'll start having the high school practices for things like volleyball and soccer and football, obviously. And, you know, then the golf teams can start practicing together again. And It's only let's see, today is the 22nd or so, and so we actually have 1 month, I think, until the first high school golf match. And I think the first one is going to be the South Warren Lady Spartans Invitational at Park Mammoth. If you haven't been over there, pretty awesome what they've done there. Beautiful course, great place to kind of get the season started. Got some really long holes, got some good greens, got a good rough over there. So yeah, get on over there. Take a break though, take a couple of weeks off, enjoy some time with your family. This is James Brown, Tell Me About It, Glasgow EPB, Channel 6, the local channel.